Hello, everybody, and welcome to UW Esports interview with UW alum, class of 2019, Parker Singh. He is currently an assistant editor working with Evil Geniuses to provide for us that premium content. So, Parker, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, to start us off, could you please give us a quick introduction about yourself and your history at UW?
Yeah, so I'm graduated in 2019. I got a degree in cinema and media studies. My sort of kind of goal was to sort of go into film and sort of do stuff with film, but I've always been around games my entire life. And, so I've heard of Evil Geniuses and I saw that there was an opening there. And so I applied and I kind of got talking with my boss at the time and, he found a position for me. And so that's kind of how I got started where I am now with working for Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, could you give us more insight into your professional experience in the gaming and interactive media industry?
Yeah, so at EG, I basically work with all the content that we sort of, produce. So I help with the recordings and the editing as well. So that's kind of anything sort of you see on there, any sort of video aspect you see, like from EG, I kind of have a hand in like helping out and like assisting and stuff. So anything from the the partnership announcements that we do, or like the Live Proud podcast. So just I have a hand sort of like all the sort of media.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome. So, in your experience, what have you learned about the gaming and interactive media industry? And what have you learned about yourself through this professional experience?
I think the big thing that I've sort of learned, and so that was, that took a little bit to adjust, was how fast the industry moves. Working in esports, things are constantly changing because it's still a developing space and it's still a developing industry. And, one day we could be doing one thing, and then the next we're completely having to shift, stuff around because something popped up. And, it's just the nature of, working in a field like this where, everything is still growing, which is, great to see and stuff. And so, but yeah, that's kind of the big thing that I sort of learned about the industry. And then going off of that, talking about what I've sort of learned is learning to be uncomfortable and sort of using that to propel my own growth, because in a way, because of how fast the industry moves, you're always constantly on the move as well. You always got to be kind of nimble and agile with everything that you do. And so learning to be uncomfortable is, a good thing, because it helps you, because I believe it helps a person grow. Putting yourself in uncomfortable situations kind of gives you learning experiences that you probably wouldn't have had if you just kind of sort of stayed in your lane and you just kind of did what you were normally doing. So I think that's kind of the biggest takeaways I would say from that sort of aspect.
Yeah, totally. And could you actually tell us more about, what you do? I understand that you are, an editor,
Yeah.
but is there anything that, I guess surprised you when you entered into this space, or something that I guess someone that just hears, oh, editor, like wouldn't know?
I would just say it's the vast amount. It's like the vast difference, like the variety of videos that I've done I've worked on here. So when I first started, one of the big things that I took on was the docu-series that followed our Dota team around. So that was kind of one of the major projects, was helping out with that. And then after that, it kind of moved into a little bit of some gameplay stuff. And then once and then once we announced sort of the CS:GO teams and entrance back into League of Legends, is kind of a little bit more of docu-series sort of stuff. And now everything, since we've kind of switched up everything because of the whole pandemic, it's a lot of online recording stuff now. So it's that's kind of like the vast sort of array of sort of videos and sort of content that I've helped with. So yeah.
Yeah, and diving deeper into the type of work that you do. Sorry, this is a little off script,
No,
but
it's okay. It's all good.
yeah, I just wanted to ask more questions because I do know that there are many people that are into editing, that love esports, that love gaming, and I kind of wanted more insight into your role. So is there kind of like a trend in editing like styles, specifically for esports and across different content within esports, if that makes sense.
I mean, again, I'm gonna say like it varies depending on what you work on. You get a vast amount of, I guess for us, like we've done a vast amount of content. So like we're not just solely doing docu-series or like documentary, which would be more sort of catered towards documentary editing. We highlight videos as well. So if, if anyone, so you have the chance of someone just like, making highlight reels of people doing cool stuff in games. Like we do that. We have like kind of weekly thing where we have videos that come out weekly of our highlights from like LCS and like CS:GO and like Dota and stuff. So, and then you see like the normal sort of YouTube sort of gameplay style stuff. We do that as well. So it's kind of, it really varies in that sort of sense. We kind of touch all sort of broader aspects of that sort of area.
Yeah, thanks for answering that.
Mm-hmm.
So our next question is going to be, what would you say is your greatest professional success?
That's a good one. I would say that my greatest professional success would have to be going and following our Dota team around in China during the international. I would say when I got, when I was told that I'd be kind of going with the team, sort of traveling with them to China as they competed in the international, that was kind of really cool because, that's a major event in Dota is, that's kind of what everyone sort of hopes and dreams of like going to one day. And so just going there and kind of experiencing that for myself is kind of like one of the first sort of things I did at EG. That was pretty cool. And so that's something I'm gonna take with me, like, every day.
Wow, that sounds super exciting.
Yeah.
I love traveling, so the idea of
Mhm.
traveling for work is even more exciting.
Yeah, you can do a lot of that in esports if you're, if you're in sort of the right area.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So, along the same vein, what advice would you give someone interested in pursuing a career in the gaming and interactive media industry?
I would say two things. One thing is just go out there and do it. That's it's kind of vague, but you got to start somewhere, and so I feel like getting, especially in college is kind of like a sort of a good time, sort of start gaining your footing, seeing if you like something, and then, if you like it, then you sort of continue. So in that sort of sense, there are great programs, a lot of great programs out there where you can just kind of go out there and start sort of seeing if you like being in the gaming industry, especially with things like UW's like, gaming club, or especially like EG has, where you have your own like collegiate Discord and like collegiate program where, you can connect with other people. And that sort of kind of bleeds into where, like, don't be afraid to reach out to, people in the industry. We're all willing to help. They're all looking to help people who are, passionate and driven, want to work in esports and like gaming, and who are wanting and are here to make the industry a better place. And it's a growing industry, so there's always room for people to help out. And I think that's the thing is, don't be afraid to sort of reach out to people, because they're more than willing to help you out. Like we're all, if you just want to send like a quick message on like Twitter or like, or on something, everyone's willing to help you out. So you just gotta get out there and start doing it.
Yeah, thanks so much. That's something I noticed about esports too, is I find a lot of very open and friendly individuals. So, I'm kind of unsure about, my next steps moving forward since I'm graduating soon.
Yeah.
And esports is something that I'm looking into. So, just knowing that these resources are available to me and there's kind of like a pipeline from college into the esports industry is very reassuring. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, that's it for our interview. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. Editing is kind of one of those roles that's really behind the scenes and not many people really pay attention to. But, so I really appreciate your transparency with us, essentially.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.